2023 gave us a bunch of great rides, including Tron over at Magic Kingdom, Dutatus at Park Asterix, Escape from Gotham City at Park Warner, and Pipeline Coaster in SeaWorld Orlando. 2024 is shaping up to be a great year as well. There are 95 coasters listed on RCDB opening in 2024, from kids coasters right the way up to thrill coasters. Here's a selection. We have Top Thrill 2 over at Cedar Point. This is a reimagining of Top Thrill Dragster, a former Intamin ride, which unfortunately shut down due to an accident. It's not going to be Intamin anymore. It is Zamperla, known for flat rides, certainly not known for extreme coasters. This is them breaking out into new territory. They've released the train at IAAPA this year, looks interesting, and the ride has quite a few changes. So initially it was a simple launch, up to top hat and back to the brake run. Now it is almost like a boomerang start. It kind of goes up a little bit, comes back, accelerates, up a spike, goes back, then gets enough velocity to go all the way up and make it the way around the track. So it'll be interesting to see this. I didn't ride Top Thrill Dragster, but I am curious about Top Thrill 2. We have Circuit Breaker at Cotaland. This is the second tilt coaster and the first tilt coaster for the US. Right, I'm probably not going to pronounce this one right. Mahuka? Something like that, over at Walibi, Rhone-Alps in France. This is the second Intamin single rail coaster. Next on the list is another reimagining of a ride. We have Fire in the Hole at Silver Dollar City. This is a new experience from RMC. I've still not been on any RMCs. They're known obviously for their extreme coasters. This is an indoor coaster, so it'll be different for them, and obviously more aimed at the family market. So it'll be interesting to see what this ride is like. Next we have Next we have the Ultra Surf Coaster over at Six Flags Over Georgia. This is another first, and this has got a rather interesting train because it's like a giant surfboard with seats in a circular arrangement, and from what I've seen in some of the promotional material, those two arrays of seats seem to spin. So this could be a very unique experience. The layout looks fairly basic, but I think it's more about the train and the whole experience on that. Moving back over to Europe again, and this time a park that I absolutely have to get to. It is very high on my list, and that is Europapark, run by the Mack family. And they are introducing Voltron, which is the first of their Striker model, so a new model for them. And it's going to feature a rather unique, almost vertical launch system. So curious to see that. It looks like it's got a massive ride layout. Rumour is it can have multiple trains on at one time, so likely have high capacity and definitely a good excuse to get out to Germany and get to Europapark. Coming back over to the UK this time, we have not so much a new ride as a reimagining of a ride, and that is Nemesis. Very dear to my heart, love the ride. It is well known around the industry. It was, I think, one of the first suspended coasters in Europe, if not the first. And it's coming up for 30 years old, so Alton Towers, instead of scrapping it, they took the decision to completely retrack it. And it's going to be interesting. We've seen obviously a lot of the construction over this year, and we know that the track has been completely changed. It's this new black aesthetic with these red veins. There's been a great marketing campaign going on for Nemesis, and they have teased that there will be some surprises, although obviously until next season we won't know what those are. There's a lot of speculation about changes in the station, some animatronics, some pre-show, etc. So it will be really interesting to see what happens with this ride in 2024 when it reopens. Staying in the UK, got a little further south this time, we have Thorpe Park, who are bringing what will be the new tallest coaster in the UK, and that is Hyperia. It is a Mack hyper coaster. It's 236 feet, which on paper doesn't sound that impressive when you look at things like Falcon's Flight, that's going to be 600, but it will be the tallest in the UK, taking the crown from the big one, which has held its reign for 30 years. Heading back over to the US, we have the Flash Vertical Velocity at Six Flags Great Adventure. This will be the second Vekoma Super Boomerang, the first one being opened in China. So it'll be interesting to see what this ride is like when it opens. I believe it is an exact clone, so yeah, let's see what that's like when it opens. Next we've got a water ride. This is Catapult Falls at SeaWorld San Antonio. Now interestingly, they say this is the world's first launched log flume, and that it'll be the steepest log flume. Or sorry, they actually say the steepest flume coaster. And I'm curious if that's a subtle differentiation there, typical marketing, because currently the steepest ride from a log coaster is Chiapas, is that how you pronounce it? Over in Phantasialand. Fantastic ride, been on it, absolutely loved it, amazing. So I'm curious with the wording of this, if this is like not the steepest log flume, but the steepest flume coaster. Still going to be interesting to see, never had a launched flume before, so that'll be an interesting experience. Over in Florida, we've got a couple of new rides coming to parks that just seem to be churning rides out at the moment. First of all, we've got Phoenix Rising at Busch Gardens. This is a B&M family suspended coaster. On paper, doesn't look anything spectacular. It will be the first coaster that the park has that has onboard audio. I am visiting Busch Gardens in the new year, but I don't think this will be open in time, which is a little bit disappointing. But still going to be an interesting coaster when it opens. And then just down the road at SeaWorld, we're going to get Penguin Trek. Now, this is in an existing space. I believe there's a dark ride there right now. It's a family launch coaster, and what's kind of a bit quirky and unique about this one is that the finale of the ride will be inside the penguin enclosure. It'll be interesting to see what that's like and how close we actually get up to the penguins. Then we've also got a family coaster in the UK. So Drayton Manor, some of you may know, that's been transforming over the last few years. It was bought by Looping Group, it's rebranded, it's going kind of family friendly. They've taken out some bigger thrill rides. Their drop tower was sadly missed when it was removed a couple of years ago, and it is because they're going to be putting in a new Intamin coaster. Now what's interesting here is they've announced that it's an Intamin launch and lift, or lift and launch coaster, but interestingly when the track started to arrive on site, people spotted that on the pillars, on the bottom of them, it actually mentioned spinning coaster. Now there's been no mention of that, so it'll be interesting to see what this actually is. As well as that, this park is also tweaking their stand-up coaster. Shockwave, it will no longer be a stand-up coaster. It seems to be a very Marmite ride. Some people absolutely love it. I wasn't the biggest fan. It's rough, it's uncomfortable. So the track remains, the name changes, and it's getting sit-down trains. So there'll be quite a bit of development to Drayton Manor in the UK. So there we go, that's a snapshot of some of the 95 coasters that we are getting next year. Is there any that I've missed that you're particularly keen about? Any of the ones I've mentioned that you're also keen about? Let me know in the comments below, drop this a like, hit that subscribe button. I've been Chris, you've been watching Coaster Dad. See you in the next one. Adios!